chose to do a third grade standard for this activity. The standard was to identify and describe Native American woodland Indians who lived in the region when European settlers arrived. I chose to do this standard because I am involved in the American Indian Reservation Project. I thought it would be interesting to hear a child's perspective on the history of Native Americans, and I also knew that this was the topic that she was going over in her history course. I specifically picked this picture because I thought it would capture the student's eye because I knew that she liked a lot of color. I also thought that there were many details in the picture that we could discuss. For example, was the picture realistic? And how would she change the picture to make it more realistic? I asked her questions to see what she knew about Native Americans and the area that they lived in. If her answers were too broad, I would ask her to elaborate or ask probing questions, so I was able to see her understanding of the topic. After having the conversation about the Native Americans, I wanted to shift into a conversation about how things changed after the European settlers arrived. After having this discussion, I transitioned into the drawing exercise.
The Indians, back a long time ago when they were making stuff.
Alright, and why do you think that?
Because they look like Indians.
Does anything else in the picture kind of give it away that it was maybe, you said it was a long time ago and stuff?
Yeah, it's like houses and how they're dressed and stuff.
What do they do?
Have to find food.
Have to find food? Yeah, definitely. Do you think that anything in this picture kind of shows them finding food?
No. Oh, back here.
Maybe back there? Why do you think that this picture is important?
Because it shows how the Indians lived.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that this has maybe changed over time?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because there's food where we could just go to the stores now, and we have cars.
How does the picture make you feel when you look at it?
That I feel good that we're not like this anymore.
Yeah. And then why are you adding that?
The red?
No, why are you adding the fire?
Because they're cooked over the fire.
What's that?
The chimney.
The chimney? I think the discussion on this image went very well. My student really understood things about the history of Native American life and added a lot of detail when explaining. For example, she pointed to the forest to explain where they could get their food. She also brought up some great points about how the image was unrealistic and discussed things that she would have changed. One thing I wish I would have changed was focusing more on the standard and making sure we went into more detail about the English settlers rather than staying on the topic of just the Native Americans. For the drawing exercise, I asked my student to create a before and after picture. I asked her to create an image of Native American life before the English settlers arrived, and then create an image after they had arrived. I wanted to see what she thought the English settlers had changed. In the before picture, I was shocked at the amount of detail she was adding. She first added the fire and explained that it was vital for survival. She also created a tree and said that without the trees, they would not be able to build the fire and it would be difficult to cook food. When she was drawing a woman, she whispers, "I should have done a braid." When I asked why she did that, she told me that a lot of Native Americans wore braids at the time. I was truly impressed with her detail throughout the picture. She even added a pink chicken being cooked and stakes to hold the teepee down. In the after picture, she also added a lot of detail. She made a house and made it known that there was a chimney and windows, something that the Native Americans did not have before the English settlers arrived. Both of her images were very different, and we had a great discussion as to why she made them that way. Throughout my lesson, there were many things that went well and a few things I would have changed. Many times, in both the image discussion and drawing exercise, I would repeat what she said instead of asking her to go into more detail. This would have given me a better idea of how she was thinking. I also wish I would have focused on bringing the standard into our discussion more. Some questions I wish I would have asked are, while drawing the before picture, why did you draw it that way? Where did you get your ideas? I would have also liked to ask her if she thought her images were realistic in comparison to the image that I had given her. At one point, she said she wanted her picture to be colorful, which I allowed because I wanted her to be able to be creative. Some mistakes I made were giving her too many materials to draw with. I think at times it distracted her from creating her image. I also think that doing the project outside had some advantages and disadvantages. We were able to use our location to compare details and have a great detailed conversation, but it was very windy and it caused some issues with the papers, which did cause some distractions. Luckily, she was focused on finishing the activity and didn't allow the wind and surrounding things to take her completely off task. A teaching opportunity I missed a few times was having her elaborate on details in the image given to her and the image she created. If I were to do this activity again, I think I would have used a more detailed and realistic image. I would try to find an image that included a clear depiction of the English settlers to link it back to the standard. I think that the drawing activity would have gone better if I had used a better image to begin with, but overall I was very impressed with how well the activity went.
Good job. Yeah.